What's up, everybody? Good morning. Here for another video for the channel. I haven't done these in a little while, and it's crazy because when you don't share and you just let things from the world consume you, maybe it's work, maybe it's relationships, and you just keep it in your head, try to think about it. It's crazy how you disconnect you get, first off, from your spirit, from yourself, and also how disconnected you get from where God is trying to guide you to. So right now I'm in a little freeway, but it's a little hill I like to do a walk on in the mornings. So I do like a morning walk right after waking up. I used to just go straight to the gym, but being able to walk allows you to get some morning cardio in, digest or use the food that you ate the night before, and also just reflect. And you get all these thoughts and wisdom early in the morning. Right now it's about 5 a.m. Been waking up at 4:40 and doing it for God, of course. The habits after a while, what keeps you doing it? It's not going to be yourself, because your ego will come in and convince you of something else, another method that's better, something else to add. But when you stop listening to ego and start listening to God, that's when things can stay permanent. And I made a video about this on my Instagram, but that's who helped me get out of the lifestyle I was in before. Essentially, chasing women, going to parties every weekend. I wasn't drinking just because, I never was a fan of drinking or alcohol because of my just lifestyle growing up, sports, and then also getting psoriasis. So everything was perfect. It was meant to happen for a reason. Just adjust my lifestyle for the better. But drugs definitely were in the picture for a bit. And I was asked this a few days ago of how someone like me, I was in that scene, like so lost in it. You could say in the world's view, doing well, like having attractive women around me to the point where I was traveling with them, being able to meet women in any country, especially like South America, so I speak Spanish, and then getting relationships with them like pretty instantly. So, I had a pretty long-term girlfriend in Argentina when I went a few years back. And then even when I went to Mexico, I was able to have a short relationship with a girl there. But the one in Mexico only happened, I didn't chase it. And it just happened so organically. And even when it was time to hook up or whatever, it's crazy that I don't see it now, but it was something that actually disconnected me a lot. Because at that point I was very, very into the habits, which is what is like the bridge to connecting more, being closer to God. I had removed all the alcohol, the partying, the drugs. I hadn't been to a club at that point in, I would say, like 2-3 months. And just work out twice a day, not missing that, not missing the wake up time, and reading the Bible, everything like that. It's crazy, like how dedicated everything I was. And I still am, but at that point it's a different level. Also, my diet was way more strict. I was on carnivore, so I was like super, super lean. I had to get off it just because I needed the carbs for recovery, for sleep. I wasn't sleeping well at all. I had a crazy physique because I was super leaned out, but my recovery was very bad. That wasn't helping other issues like I have with, psoriasis and skin. But essentially, when I went on that trip, I did not care about anything other than those habits. And anyone that speaks with me now and tries to get into this program that, I got from my my mentor, I tell them that. I tell them that it's when you stop caring about everything else except hitting those habits and not missing and being dedicated, that is when all the growth happens. And that's when everything starts to be attracted to you. It was the same thing that happened with this person. Obviously, things didn't work out just because I was on a different path entirely. Like, God gave me the chance to meet someone like that just to see that how important the habits are. And we were just completely, she was much younger. She was on a completely different route in life. We spoke about God and stuff like that, but I don't think she felt on the level that I do in terms of actually living it. And, that's what caused us to not be able to move in the same direction. Because I realized with this life, only God can bring you the person that's meant to be in your life. I was speaking with this with my coach. You can't go and chase that person and think that you're gonna meet them on the street somewhere or like some event. It could be possible. I mean, that's all up to God, but you trying to force something like that because, you're not fulfilled, which is the biggest thing, and trying to force some kind of connection or, soulmate, someone that's meant to be in your life, you connect with on that level, it's not going to be found forcing it or chasing it. But like I said, it was crazy because I didn't chase this person, but there was no connection there. But when you work on yourself this much, you emit a crazy frequency that even the world can't deny, because you're just not thinking as much as before. And on this journey, I mentioned in my prior video, but the level of thinking that I had before compared to now is crazy different. Like, I used to overthink everything. A big thing I used to do as well is ChatGPT everything that's going through my problems, and that's just more overthinking. Just gives you more, logical answers, maybe like science-based answers. But when you realize that it's all faith that's going to guide you to where you're supposed to be, that's when everything changes. All these things with looking for answers or needing a method, needing an answer is the biggest one. That's all fear. When you're in faith, you believe in the unseen. You don't have to see or get some information from the world to tell you where you're going or for it to make sense. That is all fear, literally. And when you're out of that, which is never permanent because you always drop down, to back to that state. But when you're out of that with the habits and just staying away from things that can bring you down, like the vices, the wake up time, not eating properly, you're able to elevate to such a different level that even now, when I have my reading and reflection in the morning, I only read the Bible. I sometimes read my mentor's book, Yados. He has a biography that he made. They say like a manual to life, which is true. And he talks about the way he thinks, the things he's done, and how he's applied it to his life. But other than that, I mean, all these self-help development books, these are all things that cause you to think more. And they want you to think. It's so weird, but society wants you to be in your head thinking. Think about what you want. Think about how you're going to get there. Think about the goal. Think about this. Does that make sense? Why? You have to understand why something is happening and why it's working. And that is all leading you to the devil's tool, which is overthinking, like fear. When you could say, was getting into the habit of developing myself and investing in myself, I'll start out with Andrew Tate, which was because, I was still chasing. I didn't realize it. I was still stuck in the worldly aspect of, chasing some kind of result. His was chasing money, chasing status, getting everything as a consequence of that. But when I was doing that, you don't realize how you're still in the matrix, as he calls it. He calls, when you make enough money, you can escape the matrix, like the system, essentially. But, I thought about that the other day. And the matrix, and my mentor mentioned this as well, the matrix is just fear. There's no system. You can't escape the system. Like you're no matter how much money you make, that's ego telling you can escape something or like be better than everyone else. If you're stuck in fear, you're still in the matrix. You can have millions of dollars and still be in fear. So you're not escaping anything. The whole thing you have to escape is the thinking. That is the matrix. The thinking, the fear, the doubt, the worry, like escaping those traps that the devil puts there. Um, and that's what the matrix is. That's why all these programs you see on television. If you're watching television, still you have to get off that. It makes no sense to watch it. But these are all ways that the devil uses, the tools that he uses to trap you, to get you into thinking, doubt, worry, and then getting into fear. Fear is his main tool, where he creates illusions that make you act a certain way, avoid certain things. And that's the biggest matrix there is. It's not you don't have enough money, so you need to go make millions of dollars and then you'll escape the matrix. No, you have to work on your spiritual side. Spirituality is everything. That's the whole base of it. And people try to put other areas above that, but once you realize that that's what's going to guide you and get you out of the matrix, but it's 24/7. There's no just you get out and you're just hanging out outside of the matrix. Like Tate would say, the matrix or the system is fear. And the more you can live out of that and escape that fear, the more you can actually live your life. So that's why the habits and the work is 24/7. It never stops. People that want an answer is because they just live for the result. They want to get the result, and when they just stop operating a certain way and then basically cheat the system. That was myself as well. I'm calling on myself for that because that was me. I wanted to do just enough for the result. I once had the result, just lay back, and that is another illusion your ego gives you, because the work never stops. No matter what you attain in any area, but the spiritual, the work is 24/7. Once you stop doing and operating the way that you felt the best or connected the best, that's when things start to go back down. So you have to lose the illusion of it one day can end if I do enough now. Like people, work to one day stop working. And that's basically working to dig your grave. Like there's no opportunity where you can stop working, because all the areas, eventually go down. Everything is rented. It's nothing, you don't own any area of your life where you can just do enough work. And it's like a house you buy. If you have that house forever and you just live off the income of that house, or the income or like the spoils of your work, the same thing with the areas. So it's something I want to reflect on. But it's, like I said, it's the whole thing is escaping the grasp of fear and the devil every day. And I even had something like that today, where I was before in a different industry. I was doing OnlyFans management. So that is all devil, by the way. It's crazy how the people in that, just chasing, there's no faith in that at all. It's basically you're managing the content for the models there. And I had a part of my phone that I had everything before. I totally forgot about it. It's right beside the deleted section on the iPhone. So I had deleted something that I uploaded recently, but tried to restore that, and I clicked that by accident. And essentially, when I got into that, I saw all the content, explicit content that was made there. And this is why I say, if you stop doing the work, it's very easy for you to get back. And like those 10, 15 seconds that I went through that, had to get down to delete it. It's crazy how the devil just got in and like almost, just you feel like his grasp and him trying to like get you back into lust. And I got that like crazy. I had started to get like these almost thoughts of like lust, like even like porn and stuff like that, and like getting back into that, and like masturbation. And that's something I haven't thought about in like months. It's crazy because, just being able to work on the things I have, it's not something that comes up. Like you don't focus, like I said, on the methods, on the physical stuff. So if you're focusing on the physical, the world, it's all the other stuff of the world is going to come. And, me and my coach, it's all focus. The only focus is on the habits, making sure we don't miss that, and removing the stuff that can like attach you to the world. So if you're overeating, for instance, you're attached to the sensations and the feelings of the food, which is, of the physical that like it gives you. So you get attached to that. That's your devil. If, you're attached to, if you oversleep or don't have a wake-up time, then you're attached to that feeling that you get when you wake up refreshed or whatever it is. That is your devil. So when you can remove those things and those attachments, those things from the world, that is when you hit a different level. And that's what the habits do. It's about removing those attachments that the world says is okay, of like, oh, have balance. Like you could drink a little bit on vacation and, eat bad, do some drugs if you want to experiment with that, and then sleep late, and then, have some casual sex because on your vacation, like why not go meet a girl and see what happens? And it's like all these things that you get lost in. And lust is like the huge one. Like how much people operate just for lust is something that, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's something I'm seeing here is like, once you see something that you've been doing for so long, how it's backwards, you can't unsee it. So that's something I want to leave you guys with. A reflection, you can say, but more so the growth, like I said in the beginning, of how I used to operate and just removing the right things allowed me to operate completely different. So this is something that I need to touch on because one, sharing and the camera is your shrink, but two, there's no answer. You can't look forward and try to find the answer to all this, the spiritual growth you'll have, because there's no answer someone can give you. Each person's journey is different because it's removing and seeing the devils that come up and building the mental resilience and strength and spiritual resilience and strength to stay away from that. And the first part is removing the vices, but then you have to understand that the second part, which is the hardest part, which is again the matrix that you're trying to escape, or you've been programmed to escape from, those money, which is actually fear, is where it actually comes in. So you remove the vice, but your environment, society, uses fear against you. You have this fear of being alone, fear of criticism, fear of being judged, and they use that against you because the things you do, the vices you have, is because it connects you to some kind of group of people. So if you have vices of like, lust, women, partying, drugs, alcohol, these are things that were connected to you or are still in your life because of other people. So as soon as you remove that vice, you start to break that link or that chain you have with those people that keep you in that vice. And make sure my mic's on. Nice. If you don't realize that the first part is the easiest, but the second part is where everyone they lose, is because they let their environment reel them back in with like, the way they get judged, the way they get criticized, the way that those people start to, slowly fade from their life. So they have that fear of being alone. So they're like, oh no, let me just keep doing what I used to do so I can keep the people. But that's where it gets hard. That's where, something that you try to remove becomes permanent when you pass the stage. And like I said, it's not something you do once and like, oh, like I just removed the habit and like those people aren't in my life anymore. And you keep getting tested. Life is about the tests you get, and you get lessons as a result of that, but you're always getting tested. So as soon as you remove that vice, that's when the tests begin. It's easy to keep doing what everyone else is doing in society. It's so easy. It's so easy to just go out, work for money, then you come home and it's the weekend And you can go out to a club, get lost in lust, drink, party, buy bottles, start doing some drugs, meet a girl there, have casual sex. Then you go, stay up all night till like 6 a.m. Then you wake up and you do the same thing, and you have some ego and some status now because you slept with somebody. The more attractive she is, the more status you can, get. And you just repeat that all over again. You start working for more money because you need more money to fund this lifestyle. And that is where a lot of men get lost, and that's where I was. But the hardest part is removing all of that, going against the grain and the wave that society tells you, or you've been basically put into doing. The one I just mentioned. That's the hardest part, is going against that, going against what everyone is normal now is drinking. The casual, drinks after work, or drinks here, drinks there, drinks on vacation, drinks on the patio. Let's just, chill and have some drinks. Drinking is like the new normal, but it's the new program that is keeping you dull and basically desensitized to what's happening around you and how you're living actually backwards. And then drugs as well is another one that kills your progress. Like, actually, as soon as you're in drugs, you're already just spiraling downwards, but you don't see it. But that's the one that gets you like crazy. So it's so easy, like I said, to go with that wave, but it's harder to go against that wave and ride God's wave with his faith. And you're always having tests of your faith, seeing if you actually believe in the unseen and not having to see to believe like everyone else. And on top of that, you have people that are criticizing and saying, oh man, like it can't be that way. Like, let's just do this instead. Hey man, let's just go on vacation. We can go meet some girls. Like, that's what's hard. That is the hardest. That's why this journey is something that is the hardest thing I've done. I thought it was, when I was young, getting out of, depression with socializing, doing that sober. That was one of the hardest things I've done. But once you do the work and you become that person, it doesn't have to be maintained as much. But this area with spirituality is 24/7. Like, if 1 minute you let it off, like you let your foot off the pedal, you can start, swiveling and veering off course. You start to overthink. This thing grabs your attention, you think about it, and then you're lost in thinking, and then before you realize you're doing something just to, please your ego and get some kind of feeling that you want. So that is what I want to speak about. And like I said, it's all the program that you buy into. You can buy into the program of the Matrix, which is fear, and thinking that money, is going to get you out of that, but it's not. Because like I said, Matrix is fear. It's not a system or something you can buy yourself out of. That's you working for the devil and the ego. The true freedom is spiritual. It's not financial. So spiritual meaning the true freedom is learning how to live above fear, getting into the frequency of love, abundance. Enlightenment is the highest one, but just gratitude, peace, joy. Those are things you can feel now at any income level. You don't have to be a trillionaire to be at peace and be grateful for what you have. Like I said, the people that are the most free are the ones that are living in that frequency or trying to stay there as much as possible, and not the ones that, have everything externally that you think is what you need, but spiritually they're drowning in, pride, their ego, fear. They're still living in fear of losing whatever they have externally. And do you think those people are free? I mean, for me, that's not freedom. So that is one thing I want to leave you with on my, daily morning walk, but eventful morning walk, because like I said, you only get this wisdom once you're up before everybody else. Obviously right now it's 5-6 a.m. so people are going to work, but I've been up since 4:40. I'm gonna go read and reflect now and then go to the gym. So yeah, massive, crazy how the growth, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And like I said, the journey never stops. It's about making sure you maintain this level of, that's what I applaud as well. See, people putting in the work early in the morning, the runs. That's the way you do things. But anyways, I'll leave the video with that. Do the work, go against the grain. That's when you actually get a test of character, who you are, who God brought you here to be, not just another pawn or follower in the system that just does what everyone else does because it's easy and they want to be socially accepted and they don't want to be alone. Like, oh, let me just do what Billy's doing, which is, going to the club every weekend and buying bottles just so, I have someone to spend some time with. No, that's you not having fulfillment within. If you're able to do and operate this way and do it alone, God will see that, because God knows everything. He sees when you're ready. He sees what you can't see. He's above everything. He has a view that you can't see. Your ego would tell you, oh, you're ready for this, and it wants you to chase, and it convinces you that, oh, I have goals because you're ready for that. My goal is to make this much money. My goal is to have this. My goal is to have that. Because your ego wants you to chase to convince you that you're ready. But God is the one that knows when you're ready. He's not going to give you something you're not ready for. And the things that you want are given to you when you least need it. That is something I've seen as well. You can think about your own life of anytime you really, really wanted something, you're like, oh, I fucking need this shit. I need this to happen. Or you're trying to force it, it never happens. The opposite actually happens. But when you need it the least, it's not even on your mind, that's when it appears and you're like, oh shit, this is what I wanted so long, so much so long ago, and now it's here. So, like I said, God knows the answers. He knows when you're ready for it. And sometimes God destroys your plans because he knows those plans will destroy you. So I'll leave you guys with that quote. And yeah, as always, keep killing it. Keep up the habits if you're not on them. Wake up before 5 a.m., no vices. Work out twice a day, macros, and you'll see how crazy your life gets if you stay consistent with that and do not miss every single day. Anyways, all the best, guys. Keep doing your thing. And as always, keep killing it.